Three schools of thoughts in international political economy. Political economy of globalization. Lecture 1. MSc Public Policy 4th. 1. Economic nationalism, mercantilism, realism. Emerged during the 17th and 18th centuries. Focuses on the state as the predominant actor in international relations and as an instrument of economic development. Mercantilists see the international economy as an arena of conflict between opposing international interests rather than cooperation and mutual gain. The economy should be subordinated to the primary goal of increasing state power. Politics must dominate economics. States should try to have a positive trade balance, i.e., more exports, fewer imports. Exports to be valued while imports to be discouraged. The nature of economic relations among states is conflictual, i.e., zero-sum game. 2. Critique of economic nationalism. International economic relations constitute solely and at all times a zero-sum game, i.e., one state's gain is another's loss. Trade, investment, and all other economic relations are viewed by the nationalist primarily in conflictual and distributive terms. However, according to economic liberalists, if and when cooperation occurs, markets can bring mutual, not necessarily equal, gain for all parties. High levels of protectionism of nascent economies in many countries have led to the establishment of inefficient industries and even retarded economic development. Another weakness of nationalism is due to the fact that the pursuit of power and the pursuit of wealth usually do conflict, at least in the short run. The amassing and exercising of military and other forms of power entail costs to the society, costs that can undercut its economic efficiency. Nationalism can thus be interpreted as either a theory of state building or a cloak for the interests of particular producer groups that are in a position to influence national policy. The nationalists' bias toward industry over agriculture also was criticized by scholars. One may conclude that the nationalists are essentially correct in their belief that the state must play an important role in economic development. However, a strong and interventionist state does not guarantee economic development, indeed, it might retard it. 3. Economic liberalism, capitalism. Challenges the mercantilism's monopoly. This ideology is mainly based on the work of Adam Smith and David Ricardo. These scholars were critical of the state's control or nationalization of the economy. According to them, the purpose of economic activity was to enrich individuals, not to enhance the state power. Economic liberalism focuses on economic growth and individual welfare. It advocates the world economy with free trade. Free choices are beneficial for both state and the individual. The nature of economic relations between states is harmonious or positive-sum game, i.e., where all parties are gaining something. According to economic liberalists, economics drives politics. 4. Critique of economic liberalism. The basic assumption of economic liberalism, i.e., the existence of rational economic actors, a competitive market, etc., is unrealistic. As a means to understand society and especially its dynamics, the role of economics is limited, so economic liberalism cannot serve as a comprehensive approach to the political economy. 5. Critique of economic liberalism. Another criticism is that economic liberalism artificially separates the economy from other aspects of society and accepts of the existing socio-political framework as a given, including the distribution of power and property rights, the resource and other endowments of individuals, groups, and national societies, and the framework of social, political, and cultural institutions. Despite heroic efforts to fashion objective welfare economics, the distribution of wealth within and among societies lies outside the primary concern of liberal economics. There is some truth in the Marxist criticism that liberal economics is a toolkit for managing a capitalist or market economy. 6. Marxism. The major proponents of Marxism are Karl Marx (1818–1883) and Friedrich Engels, who wrote the Communist Manifesto in 1848. Marxism is also known as economic structuralism or historical materialism. It was a critique of capitalism. Capitalism has two main characteristics: 1. Private ownership of means of production. 2. Labor wedges. In capitalism, the value of manufactured goods is determined by the labor used to produce them. Labor is not paid the full amount of the value they imparted. Labor gets only the subsistence wage. Marx predicted that social injustice will lead to a revolution in which the proletariat class, working class, will revolute against the bourgeoisie class, elite, rich, capitalists. While economic liberals tend to ignore the issue of distribution and nationalists are only concerned about the international distribution of wealth. Marxists focus on both the domestic and the international effects of a market economy on the distribution of wealth. Marxism emphasizes the role of economic and technological developments in explaining the dynamics of the international system. 7. Marxism versus communism. Marxism is a theory while communism is the practical implementation of Marxism. Marxism is one of the frameworks by which such a state is developed in which all humans are equal. Communism focuses on making a stateless society where all are equal. Marxism is a system of analysis and a way to view the world. Communism is a political movement, a form of government, and a condition of society. Marxism views that just as society transformed from feudalism to capitalism, it would transform itself into socialism and eventually communism. On the other hand, communists believe that this transformation will take place through revolutionary means. According to Marx, socialism will come through violent revolution and overthrow of capitalism. Communism, on the contrary, aims at building up a society where people get things according to their needs. 8. Critique of Marxism. The communist or socialist economy has no inherent economic tendency to expand internationally. In a communist economy, investment and consumption are primarily determined by the national plan and, moreover, the state has a monopoly of all foreign exchange. The incentive structure of communist society with its stress on prestige, power, and ideology is unlikely to encourage the economy's expansion abroad. The tendency is rather for economics to be subordinated to politics and the nationalistic goals of the state. Marxism as a theory of international political economy results from its failure to appreciate the role of political and strategic factors in international relations. Although one can appreciate the insights of Marxism, it is not necessary to accept the Marxist theory that the dynamic of modern international relations is caused by the needs of capitalist economies to export goods and surplus capital.